Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to remove the, what do you call it, tension rods? Yeah, the tension rods off the front of the Skyline and replace the bushings. From the factory, they come with a liquid-filled rubber, and those have started to break down and leak the liquid out of them. So I went ahead and ordered these energy suspension bushings. They are part number 7.7105G. And we're going to get the factory bushings out of the tension rods and replace them with these. I'm going to use two different methods to show you guys two different ways to get them out and press them in. There are a couple companies that offer this service, and I'll put them in the link below. But you can always do it yourself and save yourself a little bit of money. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is jack the car up, and with this car, I have to first drive the car up on 2x6s to get it up off the ground, and then jack it up by the cross member and put jack stands under it. I cannot jack the car up here on these pinch welds. They tend to just fold. I'm not sure what exactly that's from. I've checked the metal around it. It seems to be okay. I scraped the paint off. It looks good. It doesn't look like any type of weird patch. I just think they were collapsed. There are a couple dents on the car from where it looks like a forklift actually picked it up. That probably happened when they were transporting it port. Who knows what happened before I had the car. But anyways, I'm just gonna jack it up by the cross member and put the jack stands on it. Now putting it up on the 2x6s gives me a little bit of room to get this jack under there. It's pretty tight, but it does work for me. So there's what I do when I'm jacking the car up. Obviously, this isn't 100%. I have used the pinch welds on the side, which I'll take you over and show you right now what they look like when I use a lift to pick the car up. Okay, so here is the issue that I have with this car and the pinch welds. When I've tried to lift it up in the past, it just crushes them. I'm not sure what Nissan did here. Every other car I've ever picked up, there's really not a problem, but this came this way, even in the rear. They are folded up. I'm not sure what to do to fix that. This is the spot that I was talking about where the car had actually been picked up by a forklift. The underside of this car has some spots on it. Same scenario. You got here where the car was picked up, and then here where it hit the ground, and then that big guy right there. So I'm assuming they used the forklift to pick the damn car up at port, which collapsed that portion of the body, and the other side is the same way. Anybody else has something on their car? Yeah, feel free to share it so I can take a look at it. But as of right now, this is what I got to do to jack the car up. I also use the rear differential to get it up off the ground. Seems to work for me pretty well. If I need to get the car up off the ground really high, I just take it over to a lift, which I have access to, luckily. So we got tire off. We're gonna go ahead and pull this tension rod It's got a through bolt here. It looks like it's a 17, and then it's got two nuts on the bottom right here for the control arm that attaches to the front, and I think it's another 17. So I'm gonna grab my little impact gun, a couple of sockets, pull this tension rod, and then we'll just do one side at a time. The first side I'll do on the press, and then the second time we'll do a different method to get that bushing out, just to show you guys you really don't need a press to do it. You can do it other ways and get it done at home. So we'll go ahead and take out this through bolt, and then we'll take the two nuts off the bottom of this tension rod, and then it should just drop out. I got a little dent here I noticed on this, this bracket, but we should be able to just push it out that way. Hopefully that socket goes on there. Yeah, we're good. One. Two. And three. Let's not lose these. This guy should come up out of here. There we go. There's our tension rod. We'll get set back up on the stand, and we'll get this old bushing pushed out of here. Here's our tension rod. She's busted. She is busted, like real busted. No one's gonna date her. So there is a metal lip that sits right here along the edge of this bushing, and we are going to press this out. So I'm not actually sure if you can do this without a press. Now that I'm looking at it, I didn't know there's a metal sleeve that went on the outside of this rubber bushing. I thought that it was all just one rubber bushing that's pressed in. So we're gonna get this one out. I'm just gonna press it straight out of here and go from there. I'm gonna see if I can't get this sleeve out since it's busted all the way around. Just push this middle straight out, and then we'll go ahead and get something that matches the diameter of this outer sleeve, and then get that pressed straight through. I have no clue how I'm gonna do this. Okay, we got that guy pressed out a little bit, which will help. And then we will get the right diameter. There we go, guy right here. And press this guy out. So there you go. We have the old bushing pushed out of here. There's a metal sleeve here around the outside of this, so I'm honestly not sure if you can get this out without a press. I have this press from Harbor Freight. It was a cheap one. I know they have an even cheaper one, so maybe you can use that. I'm not sure if you can use a method to drive this out by hand with just using a seal driver, but I am gonna try on the next one by stacking this up on my my anvil here on the floor and then we'll just try to use a hammer and then punch this guy out to try and see if we can't do it with a press and then without a press. So let's open up these new bushings and make sure the diameter matches. So what I have here is a little brass pocket caliper. I can't remember where I got this from. Probably order it online. It's by Empire. So I'm going to take this guy and measure what we have here as far as the diameter goes. And it looks like we have 64 millimeters, or 2 and, what's that? 7/16. So 2 and 7/16. So that is the diameter of the bushing that was in there. We got our new Energy suspension bushings here. Nice new instructions. Our bushings. And I think for this, which these bushings are for the 300ZX, you only use the outside bushings for this application. So here's our outside bushings. They should go in this guy here and here, and then have the rod through the middle. And that's it. That is how you install the new bushings. These guys may or may not go in the middle. Yep, it looks like they go in the middle, so I'm wrong. Read the directions. There's pictures. I saw the picture. Don't trust me. So here's your center. And your 2 outside ones. And that creates your solid bushing with the pin in the middle. So let's read these, see where I'm supposed to put the lube. And yeah, we'll put them together. Lube the pin. I guess I can lube this guy on the inside. That way they don't squeak in the future. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this put back over here in the car. I'll set you guys up on the floor, bolt it back up, and then we'll knock out the passenger side. So the reason I'm putting these new bushings in, obviously they were bad, but the wheel in the car moved backwards when you're turning and driving, and it was pushing the wheel up into the edge of the fender. With the new Inkies, I have a little less room up in the wheel well, so I need to get that corrected as soon as possible so that I didn't keep rubbing the inner fender. And we're done. Let's go ahead and get to the passenger side, get the wheel off, get it pulled out, and try and take that one out by hand. So I've got my anvil, and I've got my tension rod, and then we have just something that has a larger diameter, so I can try to push this center pin out. I don't think I'll get it out, but I'm gonna give it a shot anyway, just to get it knocked loose, so we can have a flat surface up against this metal ring that surrounds this bushing. Okay, that's not working, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to get a drill, and I'm gonna drill a bunch of holes around the edge of this pin to give us a hole to push this pin out. So I got the rubber center taken out of here. There's a couple of rivets that actually hold it to the edge of this outside housing, but we are empty. So now I'm going to take a bearing driver that you can pick up at Harbor Freight, and I'm going to set this guy onto something larger. Actually got a couple of blocks here. I guess you can use whatever you want. You got a couple pieces of metal laying around. You can just set the edges on here like this, like I'm about to do. And I'm gonna put that bearing driver on there, and I'm gonna attempt to knock this out. One day, I'm gonna get a bench to do all this on. So we've got the outside edge to start coming out of the housing. I guess you can always go to like Home Depot and get yourself a short piece of pipe, or really just a couple of square blocks, but we'll get this driven the rest of the way out of here. And we're out. So with a bearing driver from Harbor Freight, a 2-pound hammer, or wait a minute, that's a 3-pound hammer, you can still get this bushing out. So let's get back up on the table and put the new bushings in. Sweet, so we have our empty tension rod here. Go ahead and rinse and repeat the process. Here's the old guy. Trash. Get all this grease put in here, put everything back together, reinstall it on the car. Now the great thing about the bushings and doing all this is now 100% rebuildable. You can do this if you damage the bushings in the future. You could always rebuild them, buy new ones, and go through this process of just sliding these guys out and being good to go. And there we go. Time to reinstall the new tension, well, the old tension rod back up front, put on the bolts, put the tires back on. So there you have it, guys. There is the tension rod bushings replaced on the R32. As I said in the beginning of the video, this is part number 7.7105G. These are tension rod bushings for a 300ZX. They also fit, just like a lot of other parts, the R32. So I showed you two different ways to get these out of the tension rods. You can either use a press, which I luckily have, or I did it by hand with a hammer and some plates that I have laying around. So hopefully this helps you guys. If you have any questions, please feel free to hit me up in the comments. Thanks for watching.